Hello, everyone. My name is Shana Sissel, and I am the founder and president of Banríon Capital Management. The last several months, I've been contemplating exactly what I want to do with my life. And Banríon is a LLC that I founded approximately a year ago, really to do some speaking and occasional consulting opportunities. But as I've been dealing with some instability in my career, I realized that there's a problem that I've identified that there is no true solution for that I can see in the marketplace. So let me tell you a little something about Banríon Capital Management. First, the name. What does Banríon mean? Banríon is the Gaelic word for queen or female monarch. And I chose this word because my mom is from Ireland, as you may know. So it's sort of a nod to my Irish roots. And many of you may also know that I have a hobby that I've been doing for decades, which is competing in pageants. So the queen, the crown, was something that sort of resonated with me, resonated with the fact that I'm a female founder, and hence the name Banríon Capital Management came to be. The problem I've identified is really quite simple. There is so much focus today on the idea of the death of the 60-40 portfolio and asset allocation. I like to not call it the death of the 60-40. I like to call it the evolution of the 60-40. And this is actually something I've been writing about for quite some time. I wrote my first white paper on this topic in 2010. So this is something that I've been doing for a long time and thinking about for a long time. After years of working in the traditional asset management business, I had the opportunity to work for a hedge fund during the financial crisis of all things, and learned quickly that alternatives, although at the time quite volatile, actually are an incredible diversifier. And around the same time, we saw the proliferation of liquid alternatives, which are hedge fund-like mutual funds and ETFs. There was a huge boom and bust in those products, largely because they came of age during a time where we were about to start a 10-year plus bull market, of which hedge strategies really didn't have a place, at least in the eyes of investors. But as we've gone through this very interesting pandemic, we've had some monetary and fiscal policy decisions that have led to volatility in the equity and fixed income markets. More and more people are starting to pay attention to alternative investments. And what is an alternative? An alternative is basically anything that's not your traditional long-only equity or long-only fixed income. And so that's a wide array of things, but they're really good diversifiers. The problem here is that the majority of advisors don't actually actively use alternatives as a core part of their asset allocation and portfolio construction strategies, mostly because A, private alternatives are only accessible to a certain percentage of their book of business, very complicated, hard to custody, hard to bill on, hard to explain to clients and keep up to date, hard to find. They can't market these products widely. The liquid alt side is kind of a mishmash of everything, not well defined, not well categorized, misconceptions about the fee structures of these products, and not really understanding how to implement them in an asset allocation or portfolio construction guidelines to be a core part. Mostly, advisors use it on a case-by-case basis tactically, and individuals tend to look at them mostly as returns. So in a way, chasing returns, which is why we've seen such a tremendous inflow of assets into liquid alternatives. They're one of the few areas of the market that's done well in the last 6 to 10 months. So we have these two product solutions, this problem, and really no one addressing it. There's a democratization going on in the alternatives world. A lot of people out there trying to provide access, operational efficiency, and tools for advisors to get into the private markets. And that's all well and good, but it doesn't solve the problem of how does this fit in. Not a lot of people going out there and educating. So where does Banríon come in? Well, at Banríon, we seek to be your one-stop shop for all things alternatives. Right now, as it is just a one-woman shop, as we grow, we hope to develop a full suite of solutions for advisors, but right now, our key ways that we can help is helping advisors figure out how best to implement alternatives into their core asset allocation so that there's consistency across the board, across all their clients, whether they're qualified for private markets or not. Understanding what kind of strategies to put together in their alternatives bucket to maximize the diversification potential and limit the potential downside if these products have, like we saw during the big bull run, tend to underperform. It's important to note, though, even during that bull market, a 20% allocation in liquid alternatives, and I highlight the liquid because it's not necessarily the best way to get exposure to alternatives, but it is the most accessible way to get exposure to alternatives. Liquid alts is a 20% stake over the last 10 years. You would have outperformed the traditional 60-40 by about 50 basis points, but you would have reduced your risk in those portfolios by about 300. Now, I'm throwing numbers out there and you're probably thinking to yourself, like, where does she get this? I have plenty of data to back that up, and I'm happy to share. It's just not necessarily the best forum to do so. But my point here is there's a benefit to continue to maintain an allocation to alternatives in portfolios through all market cycles. The question is, how do you do that? And that's what I'm here to help with, whether it be off-the-shelf prepackaged ETF models or ETF and fund models that you can just implement into your client portfolios. I can help you there. I can help you with client calls, webinars, education, things of that nature. My goal is to be your #1 resource for all things alts, whether that be figuring out the appropriate solution for a client on a one-off basis, searches, due diligence, operational and back office, helping you update your investment policy and your ADV language so that you can include alternatives as a core part of your portfolios. So that's what Banrion's here for. We're here to help you find a better alternative. So I encourage you to reach out to me if this is something that resonates, and look forward to seeing more videos by me about topics related to this space going forward. I look forward to speaking with you and hopefully helping you find a better alternative in your advisory business when you build your portfolio.